Hello, welcome to a semi-special edition of Crop Life Retail Week. I'm Eric Sfiligoj, editor at Crop Life Iron, here in studio, lo and behold, with my good friend Lara Sowinski. Lara, welcome to an in-person Retail Week.
So doesn't that make it higher than a semi-special? Wouldn't this be an extravagant?
Okay. I'm sure
Laura's here.
I'm sure our videographer is setting off the balloons and streamers video-wise right now as we speak.
Yeah.
No, actually, we're having some meetings in our offices in sunny and warm Willoughby, Ohio. And Lara Sowinski is gracing us with her presence by coming in from El Paso, Texas. And just in case you're wondering, because we always talk weather, she's been used to 90-degree heat in El Paso, and today the high in Willoughby is going to be 88. So should feel right at home.
Yeah, except it's a little bit humid. I was struggling to catch a breath when I left the hotel room. But yeah, no, it's cool.
Yeah, so anyhow, viewers, we got a couple of tidbits of information to share with you. Again, this is that time of year, of course, when everyone is busy in the field, putting seed into the ground, getting the crop ready. And I hadn't done a report on the planting progress, but I'm happy that I can do one now. I just ran across a report that was talking about at the beginning of June where things stood for our two favorite row crops, corn and soybean. According to USDA, planting progress, it's a little behind schedule. Again, this spring's been fairly wet for much of the country and in much of the corn belt and the soybean areas of the country. So corn planting as of the beginning of June was at 83% across the country, which based on the 5-year average is down 6%. It's normally around 89% this time of year. But soybean is off much worse. Normally this time of year, 78% of the soybean is already in the ground. This year, we're only at 68%. So the soybean growers are having a little tougher time. Hopefully, the weather will be a little more cooperative as we move through here the month of June, and everyone will get the crop in the ground on time. And I'm sure by the 10th or so of the month, coming up in about a week, that we'll be closer to the 100% mark.
Very, very good.
Thank you.
What else you got?
What else I got?
I'm listening very closely because this may be part of my fun with numbers.
Maybe. We'll see.
Just checking. All right.
One other thing, of course, we've been talking about a lot about soybeans. I just mentioned soybean. There's my transition. Soybean is one of those products, of course, that we've been talking about a lot because, again, with the growth of the renewable diesel market, the demand for soybean is expected to grow and continue growing. And I actually ran across a report from the Renewable Fuels Association that said that in 2023, for the first time, renewable diesel production surpassed biodiesel in the United States. In 2023, there was 1.7 billion gallons of biodiesel produced, but there was 2.3 billion gallons of renewable diesel produced. So again, Lara, we've been hinting that renewable diesel is going to be a big thing.
Yep.
And apparently the trend is already starting to hit in the fuel sector. So as of 2023, renewable diesel is now the biggest segment.
Wow. And it was something that Bob Trogele mentioned when I dropped in on him a couple months ago.
Yeah, and actually, since you mentioned Bob, there's your transition.
That transition.
Yeah, we have some news to share on our good industry friend Bob Trogele. So if you could, share with our audience.
Well, it may not be good news because Bob Trogele is to me, one of those industry thought leaders that has really kind of earned that title. I enjoy talking to Bob all the time, and I had the pleasure of dropping in to his office earlier this year. I think it was in February or thereabouts, right. Yeah. So it was supposed to be just a casual drop-in. Let's talk about crop nutrition and, I'll get out of your hair, a half hour and I'm gone. I was there for probably about 2 hours or so. And I love it because every time I talk to Bob, we start talking about anything and everything under the sun. I love that he kind of looks at the macro view, the global, what's going on in the global economy or with trade or with politics, geopolitical risk, supply chain, and he has a magical way of, kind of tying that all in to whatever it is that, I wanted to talk to him about. So he announced that at the end of May, he was going to retire, but thankfully he's going to be around. That's what we hear. So I do have his cell phone. So so he's probably going to regret that he shared his cell phone number with me. But so yeah, he was with AMVAC for a number of years. He was in the agrochemical industry for 35 years. So most recently, he was the executive VP and COO at AMVAC. So, Bob, we appreciate it. I wanted to, in fact, like I said, when I dropped in on him in February, we did talk about a couple things. And I just wanted to toss these out because they really are a testament to what he kind of sees. And, I'm in town. We're talking about crop life and our content and, big trends and what we should be covering for the remainder of this year and next. And let me just toss out some of these things that Bob was talking about, and they're is applicable today as they were a couple of months ago. So he just, really reinforced when we sat down. It's like, look, this year is not going to meet the expectations of last year. Last year was a banner year across the ag world, but he just kept on reinforcing, look, it's a cyclical thing. You wait it out a couple of years, you take your lumps, and then, things kind of turn around. And I think it's, when you're in business, not just in ag, but, that's just oftentimes how it goes. You just kind of ride the wave and, maybe hunker down a bit when things get tight. But he was very, just said, no matter what's going on in the world is, bleak as it seems sometimes, things, especially now, you have to produce food. There's always going to be that, it's not like a beanie baby. Maybe you don't need a beanie baby.
That's right. They always plant crops every year.
Right.
Yes.
So another thing that Bob was talking about, and I think we're kind of seeing it, he was talking about, for decades now, we've been in an era of free trade and globalization and removing the barriers to trade. He said, look across the spectrum now. Like we're looking at, we're looking at what's happening in Europe and stuff. And people, we're kind of getting we're getting away from free trade. And I think even while in the U.S., while COVID maybe did a lot to kind of jumpstart the thoughts about reshoring and nearshoring, I think the political landscape is kind of feeling that as well. So what does that mean for ag exports, which are a little bit down?
Yes.
This year, actually a lot down compared to last year. So I thought that was good point that Bob brought up. He really talked about AI, kind of the winners and losers and what that means for us. And again, from the ag point of view, and again, just practical, business type of thinking, like the prudent business person is going to be like, look, we can either look at this as an existential threat or get in front of it and say, look, how can we use this? Where can it help us? And just a quick pitch for Tech Hub Live. This is one of those angles that we're going to explore there. But again, hats off to Bob for kind of continuing to raise these, I think these big topics that always kind of pan out. And again, we're kind of talking about them now and how they are going to shape the content for crop life remainder of this year and next. So, Bob, I have your number, buddy. And I wish you the best. And thank you for all the support and for being such a good guy. And looking forward to staying in touch.
Yeah, and a very good friend for us here in the Crop Life Media Group as well. Bob has been at several of our meetings, on many of our advisory council boards, and I know I had the privilege of last year at the Agribusiness Global Trade Summit to do a one-on-one interview video with him at that event. And I was going to say that I think we recorded that video for about 30 minutes, and it flew by because Bob was so engaged and had so much great topics and conversation with me that, like I said, the time flew by, and it was very informative. I think everyone enjoyed it. So, yeah, Bob, best of luck as you enjoy a little bit time off. So, well, hey, Miss Lori, you're in the seat next to me.
My phone ringing. Excuse me, I need to step.
You're in the seat next to me, which is a little hot with the lights around us, of course, in studio. So it's time for your favorite segment of the show. Time for Fun with Numbers.
Okay, well, make it easy because otherwise I'm going to have to look up.
Maybe easy.
Like
if you've been, again, I always say this. If you've been paying attention, this should be easy.
Okay.
All right. So your number this week, an interesting one, 90 years. Okay. And no, option D will not be how many birthdays I think you've had. I won't be going down that path.
I look pretty darn good for 90.
Not going to do that. So anyhow, 90 years. So is 90 years, Miss Laura, is that A, the age of the oldest working John Deere tractor? Is it B, the age of Crop Life magazine? Is it C, the amount of time since the Florida citrus harvest has been so low? Or is it D, the amount of time I expect my blisters, cuts, and muscle aches to heal after doing a weekend of mulching, pruning, and weeding?
Wow, it sounds like you're the one that's 90.
I feel like I'm 90. We have 7 yards of mulch, people. That was a lot to put down in a weekend.
I'm going for C.
C, you are absolutely correct.
These balloons.
Yes,
Man,
good.
We're going all out.
Good job. Yeah, we've talked about, the fact that citrus greening has really decimated the Florida citrus marketplace over the last decade or so. And this is one of those sort of pseudo good news, pseudo bad news stories. According to USDA, the forecast for the Florida orange harvest for 23-24 is going to be 846,000 tons, which is a 19% increase from 2022-2023, which, again, is good. However, that's the second lowest harvest total since the early 1930s, 90 years. So, so citrus greening still has done bad things to our friends in Florida, and the citrus crop is just not what it used to be. But at least it's up from last year.
Yeah. Well, that is good news.
Right.
Hopefully, the scientists with an assistive AI,
they're working. I know they're working
on a solution.
Yeah, they are definitely working. All right. Well, Laura, thanks for coming in studio for this week's pseudo-special edition of Crop Life Retail Week. On behalf of myself and everyone at the Crop Life Media Group, we thank you for joining us, and we will see you all again next week. If you have questions or comments about today's episode of Retail Week, contact us by email or Twitter, or type your message in the comment section below. Your feedback is important to us. We will try our best to address your thoughts in next week's episode, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.